I won't be dancing this time. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world watching us for today's episode of Team Engineered. As always, I am your co-host, Jade Green, and over here is my co-host, Kyle Provett. Which way? Oh, like all the mirrored camera. What's happening?
The whole mirroring thing just
throws me out. It's just like, it's usually my dyslexia that gets me going, go left. I mean, are you in my other left? I mean, my right left. So what is Team Engineered? Team Engineered is the podcast for any leaders that are building their teams. Anyone that wants to hire, train, and lead their teams to greatness. Whether you are an engineering team leader within a big business or you are a business leader engineering your team for greatness, Kyle and I hopefully have you covered.
Or both.
Or both. Maybe it could be both.
Could be 100%. Both.
So today's episode, we thought we'd drop back into a couple of books that have really helped Kyle and I form who we are, how we behave, and not just only as leaders, but in our self-leadership. So how we show up in our orbit, how we just show up in life, how we show up for ourselves, and focusing on the little habits that can make massive changes. So the two key books we'll probably be referencing here is Atomic Habits by James Clear and Own the Day by Aubrey Marcus. But we might throw in some stuff from the Tiny Habits crew and, a pinch of this and a splash of that as we go. So Kyle.
And then our own twist on it all.
And our own twist upon it all. So Kyle, what have I left out? Where do you want to start off?
So this is I think really, really interesting to talk about. And the first thing that came to my mind when we started talking about it was make your damn bed.
Make your damn bed.
Make your damn bed. So as I cannot remember who it was, but talking about he's in the Marines, I think. And yes. He's done a talk and it's gone absolutely viral a bit around the world and it's referenced everywhere. And, and essentially the nuts and bolts of it is if you want your day to go well, get out of bed and make your damn bed.
Yeah, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah. And it's really interesting how the little things are the things that spread out through everything that happens through your day. And, that was the first thing that 100% came to mind was make your damn bed. Just get up and make your damn bed. Do something, tick it off for the day, and start your day marching forward, achieving things.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about Aubrey's Own the Day. Like that very first thing is, and I love that statement, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. In terms of if you want to be the type of person who is organized and in control, then how long does it take you to make the bed? Now, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You
8,
are a little bit different. So
I got like 8 pillows.
The definition about making the bed is different for everyone. Not everyone has 100 pillows and 15 blankets they have to put on the bed at exactly the right angles.
I know when you guys stay at my house and deliberately go into my bedroom, move a cushion just to annoy me.
Of course.
Just to see what happens to my OCD, crooketing a cushion on my bed or unstraightening,
It's actually a whole ruse that's going on around everyone that comes to visit you is just to make sure they put one cushion, just that little bit.
Yeah, the cushion or one of the towels, yeah.
But it's a really important point to make, though, is that it doesn't matter what your standard is about how you make your bed. It's more about achieving that and finishing that something to start the day. So if you're like Jade and you like to have everything perfect, that's okay. But if you're, for me, basically as long as I pull the covers up and it looks nice and straight, the pillows are on, I'm happy. And that's the point, is that I've done the bit that I want to have done and finished.
You just don't walk away from the mess.
Yes.
Yeah, it is that process of can commit to something and I complete something and I am already proving to myself, like you're giving yourself that little recognition. It's that reminder that you are in control and that you are the person that doesn't leave things undone.
And we spoke about this a little while ago, where we spoke about, while the world's going crazy and, we're sitting in the midst of, COVID for round 2, 3, 4, whatever we're up to, and, we're on lockdowns and all
it's
that.
All right. Sort of the first 3 weeks of a 1 week lockdown are the hardest.
That's right. But, we're in this realm of everything just sort of seemingly out of control. And what we need to do is just control the things that we can control. And, one of those things is control your environment, work around you, and it seems really silly that, make your damn bed. But, it's the point of being able to get up and control that, have control of it, know that that's what you're going to do, get it done, have it done. But also at the end of the day, the confirmation of, hey, actually, I did get that done. And, you might not walk around the place high-fiving yourself and putting it on Instagram. Hey, I got my bed done this morning. You beauty.
Hey, I'm happy if people start with that. If you're a non-bed maker and you want to celebrate the fact that 1 week solid you made your bed, I'm down for that. Like if we can if I can get the mini humans out there to do that, because I'm like, I'm just not making bed anymore. No, you can do it yourself, or it stays like that.
And that's their standard. That's their standard. It's hard for you, but that's their standard.
Let's close the door now.
So, we're sort of talking a fair bit about make your damn bed, but the other thing that came to mind for me was back in my old days of teaching people to fly, and it's the little things that make the difference, and all the way along the way. So it's sitting properly, it's having the right process in place to do the little things along the way, to check the airplane before you take off and make sure that that's right, and pre-flights and all of that sort of stuff. But what it all comes back to, and I think I've mentioned this before, for a pilot, and particularly while we're teaching people to fly, you could tell what their landing was going to be like from the takeoff. So from right back at the beginning, right back, how the takeoff went, how they went getting into the air was undoubtedly how they were going to bring it back to the ground. And if they were shaky going up, you could all but guarantee they were going to be shaky coming back down.
Oh gosh. I don't know how you do that. Like that's like, do you have your okay, because I've never been taught to fly. Do you have your own set of controls in there? Like, when you're a learner driver and the instructor has a brake, you have a set of controls that you can. Okay, good.
We had a set of controls. Yep. So, and this would be one of the hardest things, probably for someone like you, where you like to have that control on things. And I don't say that as a negative thing, but being able to step back and let people make the mistakes can be one of the hardest things, even as a leader, to let someone do.
Yeah. It's something I have learned because I know the power of letting someone make mistakes. But sometimes I'm also like, in my personal life, I'm like, do you know what? I'm done for helping everyone. I'm done putting the brains of this operation. I get decision fatigue. I'm done.
Definitely.
And actually, I'm just going to link back to Atomic Habits because there's a thing about creating the habits that's linked to decision fatigue. So the more you can make some things habit and ingrain it, the less brain power it takes to process what's going on. So it's taking away some of your decision-making power that's draining you to allow you to divert it to the more important things.
It's the decision fatigue thing is 100% something that happens. And, we've only got so many good decisions we can make in a day, let alone bad ones. And, it is. So Steve Jobs was famous for it. His outfit was his outfit so that he didn't have to think about it. He never ever thought about what he was going to wear because he got up and wore the same thing, right down to the underpants and socks.
Yeah. And Zuckerberg's followed that methodology in terms of it's one less decision to make every day. I kind of went down a similar process, but because it made it easier for my branding, if I didn't have to think about curating my outfit and what it was going to look like when we had video shot and everything like that, just wear white. So you just can walk to the cupboard and grab pretty much anything white, throw it on, and that's the thing. That's what we're wearing today.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, so we've got our uniform, our green uniform, and yeah, like I've been wearing this particular uniform for, I don't know, 10 years or whatever now, and it's amazing in lockdown. You know, it's work from home. I don't have to get dressed in the morning. So, and quite honestly, it's like, shit. What am I like? Is that shirt appropriate to be on a Zoom call? Do I have to be on a Zoom call today? What? You know,
wait,
shit,
what are you wearing on the bottom right now? Oh no, you're saving that for Monday. Your best dress for Monday, right? Or are they on? They have to turn up on the live on Monday.
I'll reveal the shorts on Monday.
Sorry, I knew what. But when you think about that, it is for some people as well just that process of having to decide what to wear, because there's a lot of meaning assigned to identity, with a lot of judgment, body image. Like, oh my God, and anyone that's got a female partner will probably be able to attest to this. Like, why is it so painful? But I can tell you it's way more painful if you have decision fatigue from the day, but you still have high care factor. The standing in front of things, staring at them, trying to figure it out, it's almost like overload. So it's like,
well, so last night I'm working on the house at the moment, doing some painting and some plastering and all things that everybody hates to do on a house. And what do we want for dinner? Food.
Too hard.
Like, I've been going since 4:30 this morning. I'm mentally fatigued. I'm physically fatigued. And the last thing I can actually make a decision on is, what are we going to eat? The answer is 100% food.
Yep. I think we've talked about this before with me when I was traveling a lot. And so when I was running the global teams, I might have been up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning on, and then still on at 8 o'clock at night. And I'd say to my partner, he's like, what do you want for dinner? I don't care. Just make food appear. I don't want to walk out of this room and have the question of, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, whatever appears.
It's another habit to have, is to plan out the meals for the week so that it's not a decision when you're fatigued. Yeah. And so just to go back to the uniform thing, like for me, so I wear a uniform, and for the better part, I know what I'm going to wear every day of the week when I turn up to work. There's two choices. If I'm going to site, it's high vis. If I'm not going to site, it's my green stuff. So it's really easy, and that decision's made for me. It's in the calendar, it's locked in, it's easy to make. If it's not, and as I found, last week at home with the kids, and okay, so not only am I thinking about what do I wear today, but I've got to mentally go through, okay, what do I have on today? Do I have a Zoom? Do I have a meeting? Do I have to go somewhere? What am I doing with the kids? And so all of a sudden, instead of making one decision, put the green shirt on, I'm making 5 decisions before the day even starts.
It's too much. Too much, right? So if we go back to that, like that kind of links into a morning routine, right? So get up, make bed, because give yourself the win straight off the bat. And then what I found is it's harder to get out of bed and it's easier to hit snooze if you don't know what the next step is. So if it's like ambiguous around like what are you going to do, and there's no plan or structure or time or sequence that things happen, you can sort of lay there. You wake up and you're like, oh crap, what did I need to do today? And you start running it over in your head. Maybe you reach for your phone to check your calendar, but then you somehow missed the calendar and went straight to Facebook. How'd that happen?
Or the messages, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and then next minute, an hour's gone, and then you're chasing your tail.
We've all been through that, haven't we? Like, you get up in the morning and then all of a sudden, hang on, an hour's disappeared. Where the hell did that go?
Yeah, and I'm still sitting naked on the couch replying to messages. What? Like, why? Why is this happening?
Why didn't my clothes appear?
Like, how did I not make it from the bed to the bathroom? Like, what happened in the meantime? Right? And for me, that literally, and bad visuals. But anyway, you get the picture. Or even just perch. I sit on the edge of the bathtub, like my phone bings, and then I'm like, maybe I'm getting back to you or one of the team, and I start voice messaging, and I know you all can hear when I'm still in the shower with the reverberation of tiles going blah 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 blah, and then I'm like, my ass hurts. Oh, I've been sitting on the edge of the bed for 40 minutes messaging back, and everything's gone. So
Yep.
it's you're not in control, and then I feel mad. Like I feel disappointed in myself. I haven't done the things I wanted to do. Now I feel anxious that I'm in a rush. I have a sore butt. Like
We shoot all over ourselves from there,
there's
don't
should all over.
we? Yep.
And it feels like I'm now the day's owned me. I'm like getting my ass handed to me, and I'm trying to make up ground.
And that's it. Always seems to happen though, is that it just seems like from there, it doesn't matter what you try and achieve. The next thing is out of control. It'll be if something went wrong, a flat tire, a meeting running late, technology didn't bloody work, whatever it is. But it's like it seems like as soon as you're behind the eight ball, because your routine didn't
The
happen,
avalanche is coming.
it's just you're out of control.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but then all of a sudden the next message that comes through, I'm kind of annoyed at that person. And they probably get the not great response from me, like the annoyed response that they don't deserve because it's not them that I'm actually annoyed at, but I'm displacing my annoyance at them from myself. Like, don't you know I'm trying to get back on track? I've got shit to do. Leave me alone.
Oh, absolutely.
And leadership skills gone.
Yep. Yeah, and we're operating at threshold, and then all of a sudden we're not making good decisions, and the day falls apart. So I think you touched on it before about having a morning routine, and I think a lot of people probably slip into a morning routine without thinking too much about it and without necessarily planning it, but also probably not realizing how good it is for them. A good example, and I guess I probably did it without noticing, was when I was going to the gym in the mornings and training in the morning. So, every morning I would get up and I'd be at the gym at 6 o'clock with the same people, talking to the same people, having the same, spending an hour working out, doing the same things. But I didn't have to set the clock. I haven't used an alarm clock in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. If I need to be up, I'll be up. And particularly with my training. So I was there at 6 o'clock. So I was aiming to be up by about sort of 5:15. And without fail, I would be up. And I think I missed it twice. And that was purely because my body went, nah, it's sleeping time. You physically, you're fatigued. Mentally, you're fatigued. It's time for a sleep in. Have a sleep in.
Yeah.
So, but what fell on the back of that was, I would come home from the gym, I would get the kids out of bed, I would organise their breakfast, jump in the shower, have my shower, come down, make my coffee, get my day organised, get their lunches organised, and we'd walk out the door. And so without necessarily planning it, our routine was this, and that's how our mornings went every day of the week. 5 days a week, that's how the day went. And the days usually went fairly smooth. The kids were pretty much on tune, generally didn't have a lot of dramas. They knew what was coming next. They knew what they had to do next. And for the better part, we got out the door without too much hassle.
And if you study many humans much, they really do crave that certainty and that structure. They don't realize it, but just in case everyone doesn't notice, Kyle's drinking a beer in front of me, and I already started 6 weeks solid. Thanks, Kyle. So no beer cheers from me. But there's a whole thing about giving them that safety and security, so they don't have the volatility, like that anxiety around what's happening. So that's how you can create a safe space for them as well. So a lot of people are like, oh, they should be able to just roll with it, but there's a whole lot of underlying things there as well.
Oh, and for kids, it's amazing how big a difference the morning routine makes to the end of the day, and even the end of the day or their sleep, about how that's going to affect the next day. Everyone knows that a tired and grumpy kid is going to have a crap day. But what we don't necessarily realise is that if we totally unsettle things in the morning for them, it has exactly the same effect. And some kids react differently, like some have a more extreme reaction. But if we change the plan in the morning, all of a sudden the day will go out of whack for them. And, you're sort of left with, hang on, you were quite happy when you got on the bus or you went out to school or whatever it was. Why have you had such an unsettled day? Because you woke up 15 minutes late or 15 minutes early.
Yeah. I got bored if I was too early, or I was in a rush, and it's all your fault anyway, parent.
That's right. It's all my fault. Absolutely.
Yeah. No matter what, it's your fault.
Yeah.
But there's so much around that if we give out, like, these are the things like we can do to help ourselves feel safe and secure. So if we look at like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or some of the stuff I do with the 7 human needs of employees, and I take this from, I've drawn it from Eric Edmeades, who's been on our Barrels on Business podcast before. He's kind of taken it and evolved it from when he was a business mastery coach for Tony Robbins, and Robbins obviously applied some of Maslow's stuff. So there's a whole lot of like well-tried, tested, proven things around this. But if we look at some of the things that people need to feel happy and to not go off the rails and to elevate to their peak performance, they need certainty. They also need some variety. They need connection. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff there. But if we just look at the base level of certainty, certainty is linked to Maslow's safety and security. So Michelle, I think Michelle's still watching, I did a mindset training with her yesterday, and she'll be so proud because I was studying Maslow in the pyramid. But if what we can do with our unconscious mind, by having some of those habits, the consistency creates the safety and the control that we know what's going to happen, so we don't have to run that meaning-making machine, or that fear, anxiety, and the that volatility meter going, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, and question. We can just kind of go, okay, cool. We can redivert, like we said before, that brain power elsewhere.
Yeah. And the way it translates back to our teams is sort of twofold. The first one is that if we've got our habits in place and we're a lot more controlled, and we're more resilient, and things don't phase us as much, it means that resonates through our teams. So if we've got our shit together, and it might seem boring to have your lunch organised every day and have your coffee under control and have a routine throughout your day, but if we've got that, it means the rest of the team's not only more stable because they can see that we're stable, but they're feeling a lot calmer in what they've got to achieve. They can resonate from it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that we can translate that into their workload as well, and make sure that we've got a routine or a habit that's rolling through, even if it's, for our team, showtime, bitches.
Get that front door.
At the front door. And it's a habit thing. It's a habit thing. And I would say probably at the moment the team's probably forgot about it. We need to probably talk about it, remind it. But, it makes a big difference, And sorry, for everyone listening, as we developed our team and we did some teamwork earlier in February this year, what we came up with was that, the show must go on. And as trainers, essentially we're entertainers. We've got to entertain the students for the 8 hours.
Keep them awake at least, right?
So we coined the phrase that, showtime, bitches. Like, as you get to the door, as you walk through into the training room, just say to yourself, showtime, bitches. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's own it. And it's all about owning it so that it all goes smoothly.
Maybe we need it on the door.
Maybe we should
re-ingrain the habit.
STB.
STB, yeah. STB, bitches. But this is like, if you even go back to what you were saying about the pre-flight checklist. So if we look at careers, there's certain careers, certain fields that, the safety check has to be a habit. Like, we need to check all the things. And if we don't, serious consequences. But usually the way that they layer safety checks is like this, then that. And if this, then that. So it's like a trigger and a reaction and a sequence. And then if practiced enough time, which is why we do safety drills and shit, right? then it just becomes ingrained. And it's like when the shit hits the fan, truck's burning down, then we're going to freak out because our conscious brain doesn't need to kick into gear. So it can be worried about all of the other dangers and like freaking out, while our unconscious brain can just take us through that motion. Like, how many times have you heard someone going, I don't know, I just was on autopilot? Well, autopilot is your habit stacked.
We do that, don't we? We do that so much. I was going to sort of talk about, I've travelled heaps for my work, like you, done heaps and heaps of travelling. And I very early on built a habit around how I pack my bag. So, I do the things. It takes me 10 or 15 minutes. It takes no time at all, which it surprises the hell out of most people. But I never ever worry about it. I never ever. So, I can get on the plane and the last thing in my mind is, did I pack this? Never ever worries me because I know that I've got everything in place. I've just got the habit to it. I've done it so many times. Here we go. 10 minutes before bedtime, pack everything in, close the bag, sit it at the front door. I'm ready to go. And I'm not going to check it until we get to the destination.
My habits were so ingrained because I traveled so much that everything lived in those travel packs. So even when I came home, I actually got my activewear out this morning, still from a travel pack. So when's the last time I traveled? So because the habit was wash the clothes, fold them back up, and they go back into that cube that I used to throw in my surfboard bag. Lucky for you, it took 10 minutes trying to pack a surfboard bag and dresses and high heels and a skateboard and everything else that I gallivant all over the world with. A little bit more strategy and packaging around it. But I didn't have to worry about the actual packing. I even had these are my presentation skirts. These are my presentation tops in cubes. Grab that cube, grab that cube. The clothes hung in a certain order in the cupboard. Grab that set of hangers. Like, if I was going to Bali to run the business accelerator, I had to wear a different color for every energy of the day. So I had a blue dress, a green dress, a red dress, a yellow dress, the different dresses. I just bought the same dress in every fucking color because that was just easier. But just grab it and go. But that habit is so ingrained that I still put things back into the travel packs, right? And again, the safety and security. If there's a habit of how we operate as a leader and how we interact with them, giving them that safety and security becomes it's easy for them. It's easy for them to not freak out when they don't know what's going on. So you can create habits around what you do for meeting actions. I know you missed the accountability call today because you hadn't done your homework, and I know it. We were onto you, but we were talking about it this morning in terms of if you're so used to rushing from back-to-back one-on-ones, like with team, and you may have had a frustrating one-on-one rolling into the next one, and you've in this habit of just because everyone's always booked an hour on the actual hour and then the next hour, and you work to that, and no one's thought to break that up and gone, actually, I need to have the third space between to recenter.
Google lets you do that. Google is amazing. So Google Calendar, you can set it so that it works to 20 minutes or 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So a half-hour meeting goes for 20 minutes, and it defaults to booking it for 20 minutes, and an hour goes for 50. And it's fantastic.
And it gives you, and then you can get in the habit of, right, I know that I have a half-hour meeting, but part of that half-hour meeting is a 5-minute reset before and a 5-minute regroup afterwards.
Yep.
And if you can get into that habit, that allows you, rather than chasing your tail, this is something I need because we know I just go from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom. And I'm overwhelmed because I haven't taken any notes, send any of the stuff I need to do.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's the shit, I've got to write that down. Oh, I forgot about that. And so now, as we were talking about before, the things that we did through the day are now affecting how we wind down for the night, how we unwind ready to go to sleep, but also how we're interacting with our family. Instead of being able to walk in the door and be present with our family, we're off thinking about all these other things that we didn't actually have time because we didn't have the habit to do it, to sort it all out. And even if it's just taking that 5 minutes worth of notes so that you can put it to bed and forget about it.
Yeah. And that becomes, if it becomes a habit, like if you start to do it regularly enough, it's like, no, as soon as I finish a call, I do not start the next call. There's a rule. I do not start the next call until I have actioned, or at least passed over to who else has got to action it, what needs to be done. And give yourself the consequence of you're going to be late to the next call. Like, no, you don't want to do that, right? Then you start to build that behavior. So, but it's got to have that if this then, and it's got to have, like, this goes back to the atomic habits, and I don't know if it, maybe in Aubrey's as well, but in terms of, like, I think his is like, once my feet hit the floor, I drink water. Like, it's still that stack that you do. It's like, okay, once I hang up on Zoom, for me, it would be send Kay a message of anything I need to remember or ask her to do the things. And don't start the next Zoom until that.
So you touched on a really good word there, is the habit stack. And maybe we should explain what habit stack is.
Oh, you want me to do this? Okay. It's stacking your habits. So I'll give you an example. It's so much easier to start with a habit you already have and then put, once I've done this, then I'll do this on top of it, rather than starting something completely from scratch. So if you've got a few things you want to achieve, if you break those down into micro steps to build up to it. So rather than just saying, I want to get up early and go train at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's like, okay, cool. But then you kind of get up late and then you're still funging around, but you want your coffee, and then next minute after 6 o'clock, but you kind of got out the door. It would be going I set my alarm for 5 o'clock and I get out without hitting snooze. And as soon as I get up, I walk to the kettle and I flick the kettle on. Then I go and have my shower. And once I get out of the shower, I press play on the audiobook while I get dressed. And then I put my coffee in the plunger so that it's plunging while I do my makeup or my hair or whatever else I need to do. And then 10 minutes before sunrise, I drive down to sunrise so I'm there ready. So it's like, it's autopilot, but it's like, I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, and I've thought it out so that I don't run late. Because otherwise, if I forget to put the kettle on, then I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, then I've got to wait 5 minutes for the coffee. So then that became another set of habit stack the night before, because I want to just walk over and flick the kettle on. I don't want to stand there filling it up from the purified water because that takes forever. Like, I don't pass go straight there. Don't even brush my teeth first. Like, go turn kettle on, right? So then the night before, it's like, okay, when I fill up my water bottle or my cup to go to bed, I fill up the kettle.
Yep.
And I have them now side by side, and you don't forget. Right? But I also think about, what am I going to wear in the morning? Like, what type of training am I going to do tomorrow? So that I know whether I need my cons to go on the Bosu ball, or I need my trainers to be able to do jumps, and that all is taken out beforehand. So the habit is to plan what's the next day's activity, and then there's no procrastination. Like, it's cold, it's yucky, I don't want to go. It's like, I already got it all sorted, so might as well just do it.
I'm already 3/4 done, so I might as well just do it.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost done. Like, just do it already.
And I guess the key thing to touch on there is that it's batching some of those things together. So we talk about batching tasks in energy states or in processes or whatever. So it's batching the habits that sit side by side so that they all come together. They all just it's really, really hard to try and do 3 totally separate things, but it's really easy to do 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 because they're all part of the one batch.
Yeah. If anyone wants some help on that, I literally did a training session this morning on that, like understanding tasks, assigning the energies, and then how to batch it and how do you change states to do it. So just comment energy anywhere and we'll get you that training. But with that then, Kyle, I want to kind of squirrel away to the motivation to doing something. and again, this goes back to Atomic. I was just re-listening to it this morning because one of my habits is I don't get in shower with this without pressing play either on a music if I'm trying to wind down or a book, because if I'm showering, I might as well be learning or enjoying.
My showers don't take that long.
No, but I'm a girl. Shower, hair, makeup, like clothes on, the whole thing. That the speaker feels like the walk-in room and the bathroom all at the same time. And I may only get through a set of blinks, but like at least like 10 minutes, process, done. But what I really loved about when I first read Atomic Habits was actually going, what is the character of the person I want to be? And I might have extrapolated that into my own process, but his basic thing was, who do I want to be? I've taken that out in terms of every year, at the beginning of the year, I write down who is the person that I need to be to achieve the things I want to have. So if I do the most important questions, the experiences I want to have, the growth I need to have to be able to have those experiences, which will result to the contribution I'm going to have at the end, I go, well, what type of person do I need to be able to have that growth or to have that experience? And then I break it down and go, well, what's the actual behaviors of a person so hypothetically, I want to be a world-class speaker. Okay. So if I want to be a world-class speaker because I want my podcast end result, rather than people go, I want to be a famous podcaster, or I want more clients for my podcast. No, I want to be a world-class speaker. Right. Okay, cool. What does a world-class speaker look like? What does it mean? Okay, well, they know how to engage, blah, 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 all the skills, right? You're like, okay, well, how do they get to that? What type of person? So then I go and look at who would I class as a world-class speaker? So I look to say Eric Edmeades, and I look at Lisa Nichols, and I look at some different other people. I look at Tim Ferriss, and I'm like, okay, cool. So these are who I model. This is what I'm modeling my world-class speakering off. And then I go, well, what's the behaviors and the character traits of that person, of those people? What's the common things? And then breaking it down, what do they do on a daily basis that allows them to be that level? So rather than saying, I want to lose 10 kilos, I want to, like, what do you really want? You either want to look good, or probably you want to be, like, maybe you want to be a healthy person. What are the habits and the choices a healthy person makes?
Yeah.
So even to the point, yes, go.
That's exactly it, isn't it? It's perfect. You just described it perfectly there. Where, what does a healthy person do every single day? So not I want to lose some weight, or I want to fit into a dress, or whatever it is. I already fit in my dress.
I barely fit in mine. I mean.
It's a perfect example, though, is instead of, I want to be hit, I want to be skinnier. Okay, so what's a healthy person do? How do they act each day? What are the habits that they have each day? And it might be really, really simple things like get out of bed at 6 o'clock and spend half an hour doing something. That's the first step. What's the other thing they do? They drink water every single day. What's the other things they do? They make good food choices. So now all of a sudden we've found 3 habits that we can integrate that actually are a lot stronger and a lot more powerful to get us to where we want to be.
Yeah. Like, I love it. It's even just re-listening to that, because I've said I wanted to get back into movement. I wanted to be a healthier person. I felt like I dropped the ball on that. So when I needed to go to the physio the other night, I'm like, oh, I'm going to leave early. I'm going to ride my bike. And so he's like, it's just up there. Why are you riding your bike? And I'm like,
now, just to clarify for everyone, that's not a motorbike either.
No, it wasn't a motorbike. I did decide against the skateboard because I was like, I'm not sure if the physio is going to really love me having physio and then getting on my skateboard. But and I was like, I can just ride my bike. But it also led me to, I don't know if I can do it. All of my calls for the last 2 days, I've been on my Bosu. So I was like, how do I take this to the next level? I can't do it so much when I'm training because it really, like, it's kind of a bit distracting when I'm wobbling around on my Bosu the whole time. I try to stay still, but I was like, I don't want to just be a normal healthy person. I've already got my standing desk. I want to take things to the next level. What would I do? And that was about upgrading the habit. So I had the habit of now every time I do a call, I stand. So for me to be a healthier person, to be more energized, every time I do a video call, so I stand all damn day, but I stand. Now my new habit is whenever it's something that I don't need to, that I can move around a bit on, I'm on my Bosu.
It's an interesting one, that one. So there's a lot of research around, particularly for kids in classrooms, and giving them the freedom to be able to be where they want to be through the learning process. So what I mean by that is some kids are quite happy to sit at a desk. Some kids love to sit on the floor. Some kids love to stand up. But there's a lot of kids that need to fidget. And, originally, and back, it'll be, so back when you and I went to school, if you couldn't sit still, you were the bad kid in the class. You were just being disruptive. You weren't paying attention and all that sort of stuff. But the new research actually shows that, and it's actually more focused on boys than girls, but it is for both, is that being able to fidget the feet and the legs allows people and kids in particular to focus more on what needs to happen. So a kid standing up on a Bosu, on a flattened Bosu, will focus a lot better because they're using that energy in a habit because they can wiggle their feet and they don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
But they're using that energy that's all fed up and they can focus so much better. So it's a bit of a side shift there, but it's actually amazing how that works.
Yeah, it is a bit of a side shift, but I'm going to reference, there's one of the Barrels of Business podcasts with Oscar Tromboli. I think it's called How to Have Better Sex by People Listening. But actually in there, there's a whole thing about how you get young boys to listen. And it is to give them something to do with their hands or take them on a walk so that other energy or the other stuff that's running can be distracted and diverted so that they can focus on the conversation. So there's a whole lot of stuff there. Where do we need to go with habit stacking or owning the day?
We kind of got a little distracted there.
Yeah.
So let's reel it back in towards building habits and why around the habits is probably the most important thing. So we just touched on why do you want to be healthy? And why do you want to be a healthy person? Why do you want to have the habits of a healthy person? It could very well be I want to lose 20 kilos, and that's an amicable and that's a perfectly good sort of goal to have. But it's probably better to ask a better question about why do you want to lose the 20 kilos? What's behind that, and how are you going to feel at the end of it? So how am I going to feel after I embed these habits in my day?
The other thing around that is, especially with, say, a weight loss goal or something that's like that, the reason why it doesn't stick and people put the kilos back on is because they're focused just on that one result, not about what it takes to be that, so what it takes to keep that weight off. So the type of person that loses the 20 kilos and keeps the 20 kilos off is a healthy person that makes these types of choices. Otherwise, you can force yourself into, doing the weight loss. You may not do it in a great way, but you find that you put it back on because you haven't fundamentally changed who you are. So if you want these things to last, you've got to look at the identity of who that makes you. So that's why I really love that exercise of who do I want to be? And it's actually something that we said we're going to do with the kids on the weekend is go, okay, so what type of person do you want to be? Because we've got wet towels on the floor and shit everywhere and back chat and, what type of person do you want to be? What do you want to be known as? Where do you want to go with this? And then let's look at the tiny things that we can do that's going to help you get there. I think that okay, what's the identity? You can't just say I want to be a great example. I want to be in a band. I want to be like a famous rock star, right? Actually, I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's in one of the habits books, but there is a story about wanting to be a famous rock star. Maybe it's Cobbler's actually, but I want to be a famous rock star, but actually, I just hate the process of playing the guitar. Like the practice, my fingers hurt and I'm just not committed to it. And as much as I want to be a famous rock star, I just don't enjoy the process of what it takes to get there. And then when they unpacked it, they just wanted to be famous and they could find another way or pick up chicks. But you've got to look at like what is the type of person you really want to be, and how do you become that person, and what are the habits, behaviors, and routines of that person. So because this is a leadership podcast, like if you said that you want to be a better leader, you need to kind of paint a picture of success of what does that mean? Like, because, it's ambiguous and like if you can't measure it, it's not, how are you going to know if you're doing it and what do you actually do? So what would you say, or even an example, Kyle, like what would you say is a good leader? And do you have a famous-ish person that we could reference that would give a framework?
Well, I was going to go, maybe one of the things that you see as a good leader is resilience or calm in the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you sort of work backwards from that, that's a very ambiguous kind of thing. So we need to ask ourselves, so what allows me to be the calm person? What are the things that I have to do to be a calm person, which allows me to have a much greater threshold around the shit going crazy? So there's the first thing that you might work towards so that you can be a better leader. The other things that sort of roll into that is, clarity of your own mind. So how do we get clarity in our own mind? Well, we plan our own day. We journal and get crap out of our heads. We meditate, or we use some mindfulness tactics, or we take time for ourselves. We fill our own cup. So now we've all of a sudden got 5 habits that if we implement them will help us be a better leader.
That's so great. It's really about, and I think it's really about that modeling. Like, okay, what does it mean to you? And that reverse engineering of that identity. So the calm in the storm, what does that do that I do the calm storm? Okay, cool. If I want to have my people ask better questions and come up with solutions, what do I need to do to be able to do that? How do I model that? What's the habits I have to have?
How do we get out of their way?
How do we get out of their way? So then you go, okay, well, what do I need to be able to do that? And so it could be like, everything will be different. It's not like a straight line and like this is the one thing. You might go, oh shit, I need to ask how to ask better questions. So my first habit I might do is I need to do some learning. So I've got these 3 books that might help me to do that. So I want to read more. Okay, so rather than saying I want to read more, I want to be able to ask better questions. The way I'm going to ask better questions is to read these books or do these podcasts. Okay, how do I make sure that happens? I'm going to, I think James's example was put a book on my pillow every time. As soon as I get up and make the bed, I grab a book and I put it on my pillow, because then I go to bed and I can't forget to read the book because there's a fucking pillow. It's on my pillow.
I know where the book is. I know it's right there. I can open it up and I can go straight to reading. So there's no procrastination. There's nothing else. It's there ready to go.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very topical conversation right now, considering you've started and we're rolling into our 6-week challenge next week.
Yes, 6 weeks solid.
6 weeks solid.
6 weeks solid. We called it the 6 weeks of self-leadership, but my partner Steve, because we were originally going to do 75 hard, and you thought that was that we shouldn't do that. And he's like, actually, it's like 6 weeks solid. We're going to solid hit this. It's tougher. Like 6 weeks of self-leadership sounds a bit soft. I was like, okay, cool. And what are we going to do? So you guys might be watching this after we've run our first one, but it's something you can always come back to, and we can give you the framework for being able to do this. But basically, the premise is committing to 6 weeks for self-leadership, because if you lead yourself, you're going to be a better leader in general, right? You can't expect others to do as you say, not as you do. And all the other cliches, can't pour from an empty cup and blah, 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 right? But we've also found that a lot of the people that are in our orbits at the moment are back in lockdown, or they've been through a lockdown. Their general the way they used to do things got shook up. Like, we're not living the way that we were maybe 2 years ago, and we lost some of our habits, behaviors, and routines. We might have picked up some bad habits, and it's like, we just need to hit the reset button. I need a redo. I need a do over. And so this was designed to help bring people together to do the do over. What made you want to do this, Kyle? Why did you go, let's do it? What's it mean to you?
I thought it was peer pressure.
You peer pressured me. You're kidding me? I was happily going to go along in my own little bubble, doing 75 hard, just focusing on my damn self.
And then you said, you're a snook, you won't do it, you won't join in with me.
Okay, maybe I did do that.
So I know when we went through the lockdown 12 months ago, I took a really good focus on a lot of those things, and I felt a hell of a lot better for it. And I've sort of let a few things slip, and with a bit of turmoil and other things going on in my world, I've kind of, like you say, let a few habits slip that I now need to go into a reset, get it all moving, making it happen. And it's amazing how many people that I'm talking to that are sort of saying the same sorts of things, that they're feeling a little bit of overwhelm in what's going on in the world, whether it's their businesses or whether it's just COVID in general, or it's homeschooling, or there's all these layers to all the stuff that's going on in the world, and feeling overwhelmed, and I don't seem to be able to get on top of it, and all of that sort of stuff. So as much as I sort of looked at myself and went, well, it's time to tidy up the diet again and get back into those good habits. And I had a bit of a rant about diets earlier in the week, and I'll do that next week as well.
Excellent.
That's another story. That'll go for ages. But so my diet, and diet is a long-term thing, is a bit out of control. My daily movement habits aren't back to where I'd like them to be, and I know that all of those things allow me to perform so much better. So my motivation is around resetting, getting those habits back on track again, and it just needs some people around me, a bit of a challenge, a bit of peer pressure, just to make
peer pressure.
just to make it all come back on track, and as much as anything, set up ready for the new year.
Yeah, and I think we did have some great habits and behaviors in the last lockdown. Like, both of us were like doing sunrise, like we were live streaming sunrises. We were doing like the meditations and all of the things, and the wheels just went off the wagon. And even when we were talking with Michelle in terms of the mindset models yesterday, people that may often be at a thriver, high performance, like positive mindset, above the line, have just been beaten down. And maybe they had a bad habit. They just let one bad habit of like letting the media in, right? So maybe they were the type of person, and we did this 2 weeks ago. I was like, no, like I'm already just all out of sorts. Like I have a habit. We don't do news. We don't do mass media. We just don't do it. And then got peer pressured into listening to the bloody Gladys report, I tell you. And it was just shit. And the energy went off, right? So many people, like, they kind of get pressured into it. You've got to watch this or or other people in their house are doing it, and then this is coming in. And then just slowly, just that one thing, then it's like, oh, shit, I'm going to Google that. Oh, no, now we're down a rabbit hole. Oh, and then all of a sudden, the negative vibrations and the negative mindset has come. And once that's happened, now your mindset has shifted and you've moved away from where you were and you've dropped your vibration down. So this is about, like, let's get a tribe of people that are committed to increasing their vibration, increasing their self-leadership so that they can be better leaders in their orbit, but put your own oxygen mask on first, right? And look at what's the things we can do to contribute to, reducing the stress, anxiety, and worry and the volatility from those around us, and how can we be the change we want to see. So we actually decided to go for this one with my 5 core virtues of live, love, laugh, lead, and learn. So we'll be doing some daily practices about those. Some of them are as easy as just sending a message of gratitude and love to someone that you haven't reached out to for a while, checking in on them. So basic. And the difference I've done it the last 5 days, reconnecting with some old people, and it's just been awesome. What are the key takeaways, Kyle? What do we want to mic drop on?
Oh, mic drop. So to go back to something that we spoke about a couple of months ago now, we spoke about pay attention to the little things. This is the little things. So the little habits make a big difference. And it doesn't matter how little those habits are, if they're aligned with the person that you want to be and need to be, they will make a huge difference, not only in your own world, but in everyone else's world around you, because you'll be a much better person.
Beautiful. That's it, guys. That's simple. Boom.
That's simple. Drop the mic.
Boom. If you've got anything out of today that you're going to use for yourself, or you've seen someone that maybe not acting themselves, they maybe not where they want to be, just feel free to comment and tag them and help them build the next tiny habit.
Have an awesome weekend, everyone, and rock on for next week.